Welcome back to Terrifying Enlightenment. This is like week 12 or something. We've been doing this for a while now. We should know what we're doing, but we don't. So we've got a full house here today. We've got Sean.
Hello.
Alex.
Hello.
Christo.
Hello.
Sharon.
Hi guys.
And me, Mark. So let me just, if for anyone who hasn't listened before, Sean is studying philosophy and he's an all-around nice guy. Alex is almost a doctor and he's an kind of alright guy. Tell him, what else should I say about you, Alex, other than just student doctor?
I get mixed reviews. It's okay.
He's a well-travelled man from everywhere in the world. Christo, I never know what to say about Christo. Christo is a man of many talents.
I am a guy. Nice things.
Yes.
How are you doing, guys?
And then after Christo we have Sharon, my beautiful girlfriend, who is a physiotherapist. Say hello.
Hi.
And I have a video in the background that we might bring in later on, but in the meantime we'll just say hi.
Just check in.
How's your week been, guys?
Oh, it's been pretty good. I'm waiting for our next swim. Mark.
Yeah. So Alex and I have been going to the 40 foot and braving the cold waters and then getting out and doing a few jump jacks. Remember that time, about the first time we did this, there was this man swimming there and he had what could only be described as the smallest sliver of
penis?
white, almost pretty much the smallest sliver of like a white, like, have you ever seen what's called a micro bikini on a woman covering her nipples?
It was a man
Smallest sliver
thong.
of
It was a lot smaller than a man thong. It was like a tiny sliver of white see-through stuff that didn't even have a thong at the back. Like, it was like just a little wire at the back. And this is like a 70-year-old man. He was pretty buff, though. He's a big dude.
I mean, he was proud of himself.
He was very proud of himself. And he was just having the chats as if he was wearing a full set of clothes on him. But no, he's just this slight little mankini.
Well, I can one-up you on that one. I went to the VicoBats there a couple of months back. Because I do the cold water stuff as well, just not as often. So I went, it's on Vico Road in Dalkey. So I went there and I was parking up and some man parks up behind me and I was like, it's okay to park here. And he was like, yeah. I goes, I'm just going for a swim. And he goes, are you going to the VicoBats? I says, yeah. And he goes, oh, just to warn you, just in case it takes you by surprise, there's a lot of nudist stuff going on up there. And look, it's normal for everyone there that they're nude and that's fine. They just like going for nude swims. And I was like, yeah, Grant, I don't care, right? So he was warning me. So I make my way up to the VicoBats and who comes behind me but him? So I was like, Right, so I get into I didn't get into the ocean. There's a little ice cold kind of bath rock section there. So I got into that and who follows me and him? And what was he? Nude. He was warning me.
He did warn you.
Because he was going to be doing it. And he was standing there. But in fairness, he was quite nice about it. He made sure he kind of stood facing his genitalia away from me while he was talking to me. But literally, I was there for probably about half an hour and he was chatting away to me. And I was like,
over and show his butthole instead?
No, he was actually quite good about it, at keeping himself kind of covered. But I was like, you were just warning me because you were going to do it. He really was. Like,
do you have any public nudity stories, guys? Or embarrassing stories where someone like jocked you in school or something? No. I did a naked bungee jump, which was fun.
You did a naked bungee jump?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I snowboarded down a mountain naked, but that was a bad idea because it was very cold, so I couldn't exactly stand there proud of my manhood.
and he exposed a lot of children to things they shouldn't see.
There was a few double takes from parents and covering the child's eyes as I snowboarded past.
Why did you do this?
Yeah, when you're younger, you're like, let's do something to push the boundaries, but really you're just being a dick. Exposing your dick by being an asshole. So
Nice.
Yeah. But I'm like, it is something that in my head I was like, I did that. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool.
Kinda
It's a good story to tell.
Yes, it is.
Anyone had any terrifying enlightenment experiences over the last week?
Terrifying.
You sound like the song there, Sean.
that was my throat singing. Well, meditate sometimes, and then today I meditated, and then I felt a bit sort of existential crisis.
You're a bit defeated today.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know, it just sort of hit me out of the blue, and it was like, oh, I just couldn't be bothered with this sort of meditation shit anymore because it's just
This meditation shit.
yeah.
Don't give up, Sean. Keep doing it.
I won't give up, but I'm just like, all these, just more of the same, and nothing's changing, and what's the point, and that sort of thing. And so I had a little mini existential crisis after that, and it's like, life is useless and all this sort of nonsense. And but then I sort of perked up after that. So yeah, I can't really explain it very well any more than that.
Maybe you needed that.
Yeah, I think I did.
Just to vent.
I actually did.
Because you're doing it a long time.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It was it was an unpleasant experience, but it didn't last that long, and I sort of thought I got some sort of insight like straight after. But it sounds cliched and silly, but the whole, what was it I said to you, that honor the present moment sort of popped into my head, and so, and it's like, yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah, well, do you remember, Mark, like on one of the magic mushroom trips I've had, it was out in Dalkey again. Seemed to like that place, but do you remember I got really frustrated, Mark?
Do I remember? Yes. Spent fucking 3 or 4 hours trying to calm you down.
I was like, this is bullshit, because of all the insights you get when you're taking those psychedelics, and I needed that at that time, and I was like, this is shit. What are we doing here? What is the point of all this? And I vented, and I just kept throwing out questions and anger about it all, because it really is like when you actually figure out and realize what's going on. I can't even explain it properly, but you do get annoyed. And you're like, what's the point in this? And I have to work hard every day to keep this going. This is shite. Like, what's the point? So I had it, but I needed that at the time, and then it helped me move forward. So, yeah, I don't know. Have you ever had a rant like that, Mark? Or felt that way? Because I was really pissed on that trip. I was like, this is shit. What are we even here for? Like, it was just, yeah.
You're just questioning sort of everything.
The point.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
I just try and do what works for me, and sitting down staring at a wall for an hour or something, it just does not work for me. So I find it easier to be like, go for a walk and try and have a quiet mind while you're walking and meditate, and maybe just look at the nice nature, or maybe do some yoga and try and have a quiet mind while I'm doing that. But being very still and quiet and not having any sensory input, I'd say it's probably the way that's, if you're good at it, will get you there the fastest. But for me, it's not working, or not that it's not working. I just find that very difficult. So hopefully I'll be able to brave it at a later point. I'm not saying I won't do that, because I know I'm going to do that stuff eventually. I'm even thinking about going to a cave at some point. I'll fill that in later.
Living in it.
Okay. Not
Is it
living
a
in one.
Batcave?
No.
Are you Batman?
I'm going to become Batman.
Batmark.
Absolutely. Hopefully Alfred will be in there to like bring me some tea and stuff while I'm sitting there. Okay. Yeah, just I guess I'm trying to work with what's working for me, so I don't get as frustrated. But if I was to do what you do, which is to sit down, meditate with your eyes open at a blank wall, with your eyes turned to 45 degrees, with no music on, I think I'd get very, very, very frustrated. But I think that's what you have to work through.
Yeah, I think that's part of what it's supposed to do.
Yes.
It's supposed to frustrate and exhaust you until you get to the point where you're like, can I say?
You
Yeah.
can say whatever you want. Yeah.
Well, I've ruined it now, but
I said shite and everything, so
yeah. So yeah, you just get to the point where you just give up, sort of, and then that sort of somehow lets some sort of wisdom in somehow. I don't really know why, but yeah.
But then can you really give up? Because that's, if you have this idea that giving up is actually going to be, when the wisdom comes in, then you're like, I give up.
Yeah, no, you have to actually be fully frustrated.
Yeah.
I gave up lots of times after trips. I've been like, no more. This has to stop. This has to stop. I can't. I'm just, no. So I got all these insights and was like feeling that after the trips everything was going to be great and my life was sorted. I was like, I give up. I'm done. And then like 2 weeks later I was back just as egotistic as I always was. But I've given up so many times and I'm like, yeah, grand. I'm giving up. It's all going to be fine from now on. And then it just comes back again and then you have to give up again. Yeah. Can you really give up?
You can, but I think it requires like you to not care about your own personal future, and most people care about their personal future. And that's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing or anything like that. And maybe that sounds a bit too extreme, but I think if you're always worried about what's going to come, you're not going to be present, because you're going to be like, I need to prepare for whatever eventuality is ahead of me, and so I'm going to do that. Whereas if you're going to be present in the moment, then you have to be like, I'm only interested in what's happening right now, and cancer or the future or death or finances or anything else, it's not going to come into my mind. And if you can do that, apparently I'm not there, but if you can do that, it's going to, everybody who has done that sings its praises. So there must be something to it. Otherwise we wouldn't be having this show. Because whenever Sharon has got into that state from substances that literally just take away that part of your mind that worries. And now it's not that kind of, for anyone who's listening, it's not that kind of substance where you're lying there just going, oh, like in some sort of bliss. It's not like that at all. There's a real balancing act going on where you can go to the negative side, you can go to the positive side, and you have to walk that thin line between the two, and it's teaching you how to act in real life. And whenever you get to that point and you hit that line and you're like, wow, this is what it's all about, that's when you realize, yeah, it will be fine if you stay in the moment. You're not in control anyway. But then because you got there by using a substance instead of getting there through total faith in everyday life, then it requires that work that you're not willing to do, and so you come back to the same old way of doing things. Anyway,
because it's all you know.
Well, it's habit.
Yeah, it's all you know without substances.
Yeah, but we don't want to be a slave to our habits, even though we are a slave to our habits.
No.
Like, I guarantee that the stuff that goes on in every single one of your heads is totally different to what goes on in my head. Like, you get up in the morning and you think very similar things all the time, and I'd say Alex is thinking about doctor stuff. You know, Sharon is thinking about meditation and philosophy stuff. Christo's thinking about Bitcoin and changing the world and videos and podcasts and just how lucky he is in life in general. Because
Neil Armstrong.
He's a pretty positive guy.
Different, yeah. It's just
Louis Armstrong.
Louis.
Yeah.
Neil is the one that went on the moon.
But
Okay.
very different things. But they'd have a reoccurring pattern for you. So some of the things you think, you'd probably think regularly. Some of the things I think regularly. But what I think regularly and what you think regularly would be quite different.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I get the point is that we all have our patterns of behavior that we fall into from just the habits we've built up throughout our life. And I think you have to be willing to walk away from them. And that's very hard. You know, it's like, but I like wine gums. You can't have any more wine gums.
But it's really hard, because what happens when you're walking away from them is anxiety ensues because of the unknown, and you're like, I'm going to go back to what I know so I can feel better.
Well, feel safe.
Feel safe.
Feel safe in the shit.
Yeah, feel safe in the crappiness. But like, if you walk away and you stick it out for long enough, eventually, over time, that anxiety will settle.
But I think you just automatically slip into the shittiness. You know, it's not even that you want to be in the shittiness. You just, for me, I don't
find
know if I'm
yourself
just speaking
there.
for myself, but you just naturally slide into it, because you can't. It's too hard to maintain yourself out of it, or you're not strong enough, or you haven't been able to train yourself enough to sort of be aware all the time that you sort of, you know, you're always, I don't know, not.
What I find is, we're living in this world with everybody behaving and thinking and acting the same way. So then you go out into your normal day and everyone around you, well, most anyway, are behaving and thinking and acting from this mind, this egotistical point of view, and you're there after being present at home for an hour, and then you come out into life and it just throws stuff at you, and your natural instinct then is to revert to the way you were, and then before you know it, you're like, oh man. You know, so unless you're in a cave by yourself or with like-minded people constantly, I think it's always going to be really difficult, and you don't realise that you've reverted back to that way. But I do think it's because everyone is coming from that point of view in this world, in this society, in this life.
Alex, hi.
Oh, this is...
No, that's why. That's why I was going. You're like, oh, this is out of my ballpark. But that's why I'm going to ask you, because you seem like a pretty positive guy, right?
I try to be positive.
Are you a positive guy?
I try to be positive.
Okay,
Let's put it that way.
you try to be positive. But do you think you're successful some of the time?
Most of the time.
I think so too. So I think that some people have just naturally that ability to have trust in the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're working hard in the present to make the future happen.
Right.
But you're also doing that with the idea that you're going to be fine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, medicine is one of the few, guaranteed professions. I mean, no one's unemployed.
And but you're also helping people. That's part of it.
Of course, right? But it's, I think it's something, like let's take someone who does painting. If they don't sell a painting, they're fucked. Let's be honest. No insult to the art students, but if there are always going to be sick people, and it's a sad reality.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to know that that's what you're working towards, and those are the people who you're helping.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think that level of security is always an ease. But even if you're not doing medicine, if you're doing something else like business and law, like those people, they know like people are always gonna be dicks about their money and things like that. Like there's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
So they have that basal level of job security where that thought doesn't creep in. And I always like to imagine whenever I feel uncomfortable, like it's a dark cloud rolling into my sky.
Yeah.
And I try and get rid of it by thinking about something that brings sunshine. And it's a really bullshit analogy.
No, this is great.
No.
Analogy.
I like to think things. So I remember things through pictures. That's how I, memorize, my information. Okay, that's how I memorize my information is through pictures.
As in, like, you'll imagine in your bedroom and.
No, I don't go to that level, like
Okay.
mind palace type thing.
That's a cool thing. Someone told me about that recently.
I tried to do it. It's really hard though, because if you don't remember the image, well, there's a thing in medicine. It's called sketchy. So basically, they put up this picture. And I'm not kidding. Like they have a picture. There's a bacteria called Staph aureus. This is gonna get really geeky now.
I'll understand. Don't worry.
So they put up a picture of Moses parting the Red Sea.
Right.
And everything you need to know about this bacteria is centered around this picture of Moses parting the Red Sea. So it's kind of, forced mind palace-y type things.
Okay.
But you take a picture and you put information into it.
Yeah.
And that's how I remember things.
Okay.
Well,
no, you can't just say that about Moses and Red Sea.
You want to know?
Yeah.
You want to know? Okay.
I want the
Explain
nerd. I
how
want the
Moses-
nerd bomb.
So, it coagulates blood, so the Red Sea has been parted because, the blood has been coagulated in the back. There are 3 pyramids behind him because it infects the heart valve that has 3 little leaflets, the tricuspid, things like that. Like, you just
Wow,
remember
that's
stuff
really
like that. It's really specific, right?
Very
The
specific.
Sphinx doesn't have a nose because Staph aureus lives around your nose.
No
Oh, yeah, it's
way!
really specific. And you just remember this.
That's a
Yeah.
good way of doing things, though.
Oh, it's
It
a
is, though,
great
yeah.
way of
Have
doing
you heard of the
things.
Mind Palace
Yeah.
stuff, Sharon?
No.
So basically, it's
I have a
the
book on
idea
it
that
if you wanna borrow it.
you if you want to really remember something well, you imagine every item in your home is something to do with that subject. So let's say what am I studying?
Psychology.
Thanks, Christo. Shows how in depth I am with it
Hi,
at the moment.
Christo.
But let's say I have to remember something about B.F. Skinner, then I have to be like, okay, there's when I wake up in the morning, say I have a painting on my wall, I imagine that is B.F. Skinner. Is that pretty much the basis of it? And then I just add till the whole house is full of items to do with psychology. And then I know where everything in the house is when I want to find it because I know my house so well. So it's just attaching something to do with what you want to learn to your memory of your home, basically.
Oh, I would love this.
I have a book on this if you want to borrow it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would really like to
It's a
try this
great
about
book.
remembering something because I'm very.
Organized.
Am I?
Well,
yeah.
everything needs to be structured for you.
Yes. I'm really logical
Yeah,
thinker.
it's-
One thing leads to the next thing. Flow charts were my life in college. Flow charts with pictures were also my life in college. So I only said to my niece, she's doing her leaving cert, and this year she's in her mocks, and I said to her today, I goes, try drawing things. She's quite like me, and my physiology exam was literally drawings with a following essay.
Oh, yeah,
So I drew cells, I drew action potentials, nerves, I drew everything to put the story together in words in order. So I'd draw things first. So I don't know, I might like this mind palace stuff.
oh yeah, it's you have to work on it though. Like
I'd say you have to get really creative.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I know people who they make their shopping lists like this. So if they need to buy carrots, they I know I'm not kidding. This is true. because a friend of mine told me about this. So when he wants to remember he needs to buy carrots, he imagines the sofa in his living room is impaled with carrots. He gets these really like weird, vivid.
I
like,
know, I wouldn't go
things.
that far.
Oh no, he gets really vivid. Like there's like milk flowing out of like the walls, like the Shining type stuff. It's really vivid.
That sounds like trippy.
And that's how he remembers his shopping
horror
list.
film.
That's how he remembers his shopping
Walking
list.
into
to go
your
to the
house
store.
every time, there's milk coming out of the walls and carrots in the chairs. Like, that's scary
No,
stuff.
that's how he remembers his shopping list.
Christo, what do you got in the works, mate? I have to actually praise Christo here because this show, aside from me speaking into a microphone here, nothing else would be happening if it wasn't for Christo. He records the show, he comes up with topics for the show, he edits the show, he uploads the show to Spotify.
And
So
everything
I've got
else.
the easy job. I just talk shit and go, and when I don't know what to say, I just go, I'll just go, Sean. And Sean will have a little panic attack in the corner. And so, thanks, Christo.
No bother.
Come on, tell me your life. What's been going on?
No.
It's hard. I know that's a very general question, but
Well, you had a nice sing-song on
Oh,
a
yeah.
walk yesterday.
Yeah, went for a walk in the park yesterday and just Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World just started playing in my head, and I just started I made a video actually just to put up because I try like making these videos to kind of send out some good energy to people and make people feel good and stuff like that. And yeah, just been working in Harvey Norman. Wait, don't move the camera.
I'm trying to say to her.
Don't move
I
the
didn't want to
camera.
go across.
Yeah.
Stop moving out.
This is the great thing about having a couple on the show, because you can have these realistic things happen. Like a
He's
mini
pointing at me saying,
argument.
get my phone. And I'm like, going around the other way to get the phone so I don't put my hand across the video stream. And he's like, get my phone. And I'm like, I can't because of the...
So we're trying streaming this for like the first time, start to finish, and I'm paranoid about the phone staying in place. We need to get a tripod.
Sorry to the listeners, and sorry, Christo, for that distraction on what you were saying there.
No, I don't really have.
It's not loud enough.
Red roses too. I see them bloom
This is Christo singing.
for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Can you hear that
Really
in
good
earphones?
impression.
Woo! Go Christo! Yay! But it's a good point.
Yeah. Look, I feel down sometimes too, and anxious, and just like everyone else. And sometimes maybe people think they just see this image of me being positive all the time. I feel things, but I sit with them, and I just feel like I don't need to share that side with people because it's just going to bring them down. I don't see the point. There's people close to me that I can share these things with and let go. But for the most part, I suppose my purpose and my whole mission is just to try and be a positive light in a world full of fucking people trying to dim each other's fire. So that's it. And I just enjoy watching all you guys talk and shit.
Well, you certainly do always bring a positive light. You do. Just from knowing you. I don't think I've ever seen you kind of pissed off or down, and if you are, you have a positive spin on it, so good job, Christo.
You kind of have to be like that when you're working in sales as well. You
True.
know, you really have to, because the amount of people that will come in and, you know, just be angry for no reason and you point, you know, direct their anger at you, and you haven't done anything. You have to understand how to deal with that. And
punch him in the face. I do.
Or be like me and tell them that you'll run them over, but you know.
yeah.
I was going to say run them over.
Did I tell you that story? I'll tell you after. But no, do you know, like being that positive light, Christo, like you said, you don't want to bring others down when you're down. But by being that positive light, you rub off on others and bring them up.
Yeah.
So there's balance.
I feel like I handle pain very well. I handle whatever, depression or anything like that, dark things quite well, and I've always handled them very well. So I feel like what I'm here for, at least is what I'm thinking anyway, is that I'm here to absorb that, like, because a lot of people will come to me for advice, friends of mine and stuff like that, and I even family that are going through hard times, and I have to absorb a lot of stuff, and sometimes it's not easy, man. Like it hurts, and it instills you with anxiety even though you're having a great day, and it's like, oh, why am I taking all that? But the reason I do it is because I can handle it. So I'd rather try and take that, absorb that from them, and try and give them something back, because I'll just take that and I'll turn it into something beneficial, I guess, or positive or something like.
That's very interesting. I don't know if I heard you right, but you said you believe that you're there to take on some of that pain for others. Is that right? That's a very interesting topic. There's the it's almost like how will I express this properly? You've heard of Osho, have you?
Yeah, I've heard.
Rajneesh.
Never.
There's a good documentary on Netflix called Wild Wild Country about him, and how
That's the
God Who Failed is a
Yeah.
book written about him as well. So,
Right.
but the guy is an absolute genius, even if he went pretty far astray in general. But he's talking about the yoga meditations and stuff where people breathe in light and they breathe out darkness.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got it all wrong, guys.
Yeah.
You got it all wrong.
Yeah.
It's like you get to the point where you're strong enough to be the light in the darkness, and you invite that darkness in, and you heal that, and you give it love, and then you breathe out the brightness. So all the people trying to heal themselves by because they want the goodness, it's the taking on the burden for others is the way to actually meditate.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective.
point, yeah.
That's an interesting perspective, because I went to a men's circle last week.
You weren't all jerking off in a circle.
This is
Christo.
I was like, men's.
Wasn't bukkake, no.
Okay.
How much did you get paid?
Christo's a pretty buff guy.
I went.
Homer and the Simpsons.
That went from
is coming to my mind.
seriousness to ridiculous pretty quickly.
Yeah, it wasn't that kind of men's. I could see how people would think that though, but it was basically like, it was some one guy, his name's Rob. He's actually going to be on the show next week. He's a psychotherapist, and he ran himself. He called it the Inner Fire, and he does it every month. And just a bunch of guys sit in a circle, and when I got there anyway, I was late. They were all meditating, mid-meditation, and I was like, oh, cool. So I took my shoes off, and I was in my element because I just went straight in. And then after meditation, then Rob was like, we're gonna. This is gonna sound really hippy dippy, but he's like, we're gonna pass this stick around, and whoever has the stick gets to speak, and you can say anything, you can share whatever you need to share. And I guess that's really good,
Yeah.
So anyway, after meditation, we felt really good, and then it just started, and we started listening to everyone, and no one's supposed to judge anyone, and we're just there to listen, So it was really interesting hearing everybody, and then I went through my own thing, and then what we did was Mark wanted to focus on this current time in the season where we're transferring from winter into spring. And there's an Irish Gaelic saying from years ago, like a pagan celebration called Imbolc, which means in the belly, and it represents how right now, the seeds are basically germinating in the belly of the earth, but at the same time it's like a metaphor of how during winter because we don't get as much sun, we're not getting as much vitamin D, we do get more anxious and depressed, and we have to introspect and go within the belly, because we all have this inner fire, and it can become dim during the dark period of winter. And once it becomes dim, essentially fire is energy. Your energy goes down. That's why we have low energy levels. We want to just lie down all the time in winter, and we don't want to be in the cold. And so I suppose the more ignition that you have in the fire, the more you go about things with more flurry. Can I say flurry?
McFlurry?
McFlurry? The more you go about things with McFlurry. So anyway, with the
Brought to you by McDonald's.
fervor. The more you go about things with more fervor. But I suppose when your fire gets too big, then it's like you're imbalancing your ego, and then your fire's too big, you burn yourself, you burn others, because you're just like rah rah rah, So it's about balancing it. But we were discussing how you're gonna cultivate that inner fire to keep it at the right
Level.
size and level, so that it keeps you warm, it keeps you going, and you can give it to others and help others and stuff like that. So it was really cool, man. It was really cool. I left there. We did like a shamanic drumming thing as well, where we all laid down, and Rob and I can't think of the name right now. If you're listening, I'm sorry. You're gonna be on the show next week, but I can't think of what. Do you remember the guy's name that ran the psychedelic event
I met
that we
them
met at?
at the psychedelic thing, and I remember talking to him. He said he was a shaman, among other
Yeah.
things, or a shamanic practitioner.
Practitioner, yeah. Really cool dudes.
Mm.
I can't think of his name for the life of me at the moment. Dara? No, Dara's the other guy. Anyway, they both did the drumming because they're trained in it, and we laid down, and I suppose they said that, right now, because we're in the belly and you're about to blossom and spring up, it's about making intentions of what you're going to do next, I suppose we were all kind of tasked with lying down and trying to picture that, and then they were talking about the different dimensions that you can go, the shamanic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, you don't even have to go into that if you don't want to. If you just want to, create your intentions to basically doing affirmations and manifestation, right? So I was thinking about what I'm doing, like with the channel and stuff, and what I want to do, and all the plans that I have and stuff like that. And I was just basically trying to picture them and stuff like that. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to kind of see if I could have some sort of psychedelic experience, because they said that the drumming causes it's theta waves, and the theta waves can cause alternative conscious experience, whatever.
States of mind,
State of mind. So I tried, but I couldn't disconnect from my rational mind, and I will admit that there was times where I was sitting in that circle and my rational mind has been on a lot in the last few months, and so sometimes I was thinking, oh god, like this is so hippy dippy, but at the same time there was the part of me that was going, the higher self, the abstract mind that was kind of going, but I really like this is cool, and this is you also. So anyway, point is that when it finished, it just felt great, and I walked down the street outside in the rain, and it was really nice. And when I spoke to my girlfriend after this, the words just flowed so fluidly, like in such a calm way, and I was really in that stoic mindset, and there was so much balance there. So it was a nice rekindling of my inner fire, which had been dimmed from the last few months, where I've been working so hard at so many different things, the job, that app, like all the bullshit essentially, and everything's kind of cleared. And I've learned now over the last year that you don't get rid of your ego totally, or think that you need to get rid of this thing that's inherently part of us as humans, because as soon as you use the word I or using your name, that's the ego. Because then you dissociate with everything, because you just lose yourself. And that's why they say, like, I've lost myself, or I've lost the feet under my ground, because you don't know where you are. And so it's like the waves coming in and taking you away. You don't want it to happen, you drown. But then at the same time, what happened this winter was like the ego took over too much, and he's swimming against the waves. I can do this, I can swim through the waves, I can go as far as I want and nothing can stop me. You're gonna drown as well. So what I've come to the realization is you gotta surf the waves. You gotta surf the waves, man. Peace out.
Dude.
Yeah, dude. So you gotta surf the waves. But I know it sounds all hippy dippy again, but it's a balancing act. Because surfing is a balancing act. Life is a balancing act. And again, with the ego, because we tend to have a negative label for this word ego, but the thing is, the individual experience that we're all having is part of ego. But there's good and bad ego. The bad ego is narcissism. That's the word for that. But there's good ego too. It's just about balancing it so that it doesn't topple over, and not letting that fire get too big or too small.
But that's similar to what you were saying earlier, Mark, about walking the line between order and chaos.
Exactly.
What did you mention? You said something about you have to walk the line between it.
I did yoga last Friday.
So it is order, chaos, you have to be in the middle.
And I had taken some mushrooms and some marijuana, and I won't go into it, what I went through, because it's too crazy even for this show compared to what I've said before. And I haven't even told my close friends here, because it's just too much. It's too far out there. But the way it seems to work ego-wise, or at least so far anyway, is that thoughts come in, but it's only when you believe you're generating the thoughts as an independent individual that they seem to cause problems. So it's almost like you said, Alex, if a thought comes into your mind and you can visualize it as a cloud, even if it's a nice, quite clear cloud, it's still a cloud and it's got to pass you by. Or if it's a dark cloud, it'll pass you by. And as you said, Christo, you're getting good with dealing with pain and a little bit of suffering somewhat.
I think it's. I've always kind of been like that. It's always been a thing of mine, even when I was in school back. And if anybody's from my old school, hello, thanks for listening. You probably remember that I was one of these guys that tended to be the guy that they would come to advice for, and I would listen to a lot of things and try and give back the good energy and positive energy. So,
it's only been a recent development for me over the last 2 or 3 years or so, where I've become quite strong mentally. And I think it was because I took ayahuasca and I was extremely weak mentally, and it scared the absolute bejesus out of me.
yeah.
And so now, as you said, Sharon, about that line between chaos and order, it's almost like order is your thoughts. You're ordering, you're trying to process and understand what's going on in the world. And then the chaos is all that mad shit that happens when you're open to the other side of life and that you don't understand at all, the unknown, let's just call it. You can do that in everyday life. Let's say if you, let's say your close family member dies. Suddenly that order you had of what the world is and how you exist in it and the relationship between your family and your happy life and where you're going and all the things you're worried about, and then boom, someone close to you dies. Bang, you're thrown into chaos. And so I'm not, what I experience is the psychedelic side of that, but that's the same thing really. You're just thrown into the unknown of, I don't understand this at all. And the key seems to be that you don't pull thoughts towards you, because then you're being pulled too much into order, and you don't get access to the other dimensions and all the other insights and the understanding of life from a different point of view. And if you go too far into that, then you get completely lost, and you might, like, I was in a yoga class, so I might have made a complete fool of myself. Who knows? I might have just started running around screaming, or I might have been stood up and been like, I'm here to bless you all, or something stupid, exactly. But I'm able to walk that now at the moment. Now, obviously the dose matters a lot. And
balancing act.
We have to do our usual disclaimer. Any psychedelics or any illegal substance has the potential to be abused or misused, and because these things aren't regulated, basically you don't know what you're getting, and it's not all fun and games. You've got to know what you're doing, or at least be with somebody who does know what they're doing. So just big disclaimer to not just go out there and think it's all happiness and good times.
And it's not the only way as well. You can find other ways without using substances.
Like Sean.
But quickly, that's why they call it dissolving the ego and not disintegrating it. Because I think a lot of us, when we use psychedelics and we realize this ego is this thing and we need to get rid of it, and we think of dissolving an ego, we do tend to get confused with disintegrating the ego. You don't want to disintegrate the ego, because then not good. Chaos.
No, chaos, absolutely. Eckhart Tolle says that in his New Earth, a New Earth book that I'm reading at the moment. He talks about dissolving the ego.
But let's not let's, because I can't speak for you guys, but for me, ego is the belief that that the thoughts going on in my head are my decisions, and that I'm making the decisions in my life as a separate self. I don't believe that anymore. Now, I don't know how to operate in life without playing that game, but I know I'm playing the game where I'm like,
but this is the
I'm
thing.
going to get up and go to the bathroom, but I know that deep down that's not what's happening.
But this is the thing, you know that, so you're aware. So this is again coming back to dissolving the ego and using the balancing act, because you know that, but you still have the tendency to say, I'm going to go do this.
It's I don't think it's fully necessary though. I think it's just it's something that you can practice your way out of through mindfulness and meditation. But I don't know yet, because I'm not there. So
because I've been in the other realm in sense when I say realm, I say another part of the mind where it's like you just dissociate with everything. And I've seen it happen with others that have used psychedelics a lot. And I just... Ego is a lot more than just... It is just the individual illusion, basically. It is. And that is an illusion. Everything's an illusion in some sense. But it is a balancing act, because without that, unless we're going to have some sort of bohemian society or hive mind, which we don't have, there's a reason why ego is here. There's a reason why everything is here.
I want an off switch, though.
There is an off switch. It's called meditation. It's called psychedelics. So this is the whole point of what I'm trying to tell you, is that it's a balancing act. It's the awareness that you're not just in this box called ego, and it's not just about I, and that is an illusion in some sense. There is another experience, but it's also not about this other experience and everything else, because then it's like you lose sense of this as well. So it's all a balance. Everything is. This is what the yin yang is about.
You're
This is
either
what
in order or
everything's
chaos.
about. Like, it's all a balance. Life's a balance, and there's reasons for why everything exists here in this reality.
I personally struggle with the whole idea of disintegrating the ego or wanting that off switch, because, like I said to you earlier, Sean, we're not living in that world. Like, everyone isn't awake. They're far from it. It's more. It's happening more lately, and probably will continue on that trajectory where everyone's going to try or going to wake up and blossom. But I think the way the world and society we're living in now, we just keep getting pulled back into.
Personally, I think
into that mindset, and it's hard. I don't think I could live with a disintegrated ego and just have that off switch the whole time. Not like the way I'm living now, and I personally think I'd have to be on my own somewhere miles away. And I just think that's right now that's really difficult to do. So I think the balancing act is probably what I would try and achieve. But even then, I can't achieve anything. Let's just not get into it.
Look, I think when it comes to this stuff, it's a personal journey, and you have to see what feels. You feel your way into it, and for me, it's. I kind of want to go all the way, and if it's the wrong decision, maybe I need to feel that.
But who wants to go all the way?
That's the thing. That's exactly. So this is the thing. I think
I understand that. What I mean is, I'm opening myself up to more and more and more, and we'll see. But anyway, let's shift gears for a little bit, because Sean and Alex here have been patient observers during this whole thing.
Alex is lost looking.
No, he's not.
No, like I have, for a brief period in my life, I was in full emotional off.
Wow.
I felt nothing, but I was happy. I had a great time. But I felt nothing.
You felt happiness.
Yeah, well, not in that regard. I didn't feel depressed.
Right.
That's the only way I can describe it. Like, no one mattered to me. Nothing at all mattered to me. Nothing mattered. I wouldn't care if you died tomorrow. Nothing mattered.
Jesus, Alex.
stoicism.
Nothing mattered to me at all. Everything was just kind of, it just happened.
Stoic.
Around
Stoic.
me, like life, it just,
Yeah.
the world turned.
Do you know why you were like that?
No clue. It just happened for a while.
And how did you come back out of it?
Nothing. It just stopped.
It just happened.
It's just kind of, I just went into this dip, and then I came out the dip. It just happened.
Do you wish you were still in the dip?
No.
Okay.
Because it was too dissociative. Like, literally nothing mattered. My friends were like, let's go do something. I'm like, I don't really care about anything. I don't want to hang out with you.
Oh my
I don't care about you enough to do things.
But
with
you weren't feeling like any sort of guilt.
No, I just didn't care.
See, I think that's what I want.
I've been to that point, and it just nothing mattered.
Do you know what?
It really didn't matter.
I've had times like that, but not a full-on dip
no,
for a long time.
I've had, like, it was months of just don't care.
There's times where I say to Mark, I'm like, I don't feel anything. I feel nothing. Me. I don't care. You remember at the start when Mark could never really understand that, but there's been definitely times where that's happened to me, and I don't like it.
But
I don't like it.
You haven't felt that what Alex is saying seems to be that even though he was not feeling anything, there was no sort of negative side effects to that, other than when he was out of that, he was like, I wouldn't want to go back there.
No,
but
because it was just it was too extreme. It was just no one mattered. It was too like.
Well, when you say no one mattered, it's not like you It's just that you didn't think about it.
No,
Is that
just
right?
Like it when things that happened in other people's lives, their existence in my life was
Just had no time
irrelevant
for it.
to me.
It sounds like nihilism.
Yeah.
It was very nihilistic.
But like if your
Looking back
if
on
your
it, it was
parents passed away,
extremely- I don't know. I don't like to
Oh.
venture into that, whether or
What
not.
did you say?
I said if
I
his
don't
parents
like
passed
to
away.
venture into the questions of what would have happened because it's too. Oh, was I that dark? Was it a dark period? Was
Yeah, you
it
don't
not?
wanna- you
Was
don't
I
wanna face
just-
that.
Yeah, I just don't. That's why I don't like. That's why when you say would I go back there? No, not right. I don't want to. Because on introspection.
Okay,
of that
that's
period,
not what I'm aiming for.
No, on that
no.
introspection, it was very nihilistic.
Okay.
It just
Okay.
nothing mattered.
No, I'm looking for
So
a
it
more
wasn't stoic then.
more like I
No, it
I
was
care
not stoic.
I care about everything massively, but I'm not like sucked into it so much that it's
it's
affecting me.
full break.
I think that's what happened to me earlier today. Like I was in, I was in the nihilism mode.
Yeah.
Nothing matters. Like nothing has any meaning. That sort of thing. And I snapped out of it pretty quickly. But I think there is this realization that we all come in and out of. You were in it for quite a
Yeah, it was,
longer
it was
time
an
than I was
extended
today.
period of time.
But like, there's no, so there's no meaning. There's no value. Nothing matters. That sort of.
Yeah.
You slip into that, and you probably just had that realization, and then.
I've incorporated certain aspects,
Right.
but I haven't
You haven't stayed
gone back to that place. No, because it wasn't.
It's not nice.
It wasn't a nice place, but I didn't feel it wasn't a depression. It wasn't like me going, "Oh, this doesn't matter. Why do we have to do this?"
there. You're completely dissociated.
Just complete dissociation.
Can I probe a bit? How old were you?
This was a few years ago. This was like 2 or 3 years ago. 3 years ago.
Well, I don't know your age now, so.
I'm 21.
Okay. Right.
She's very mature for 21.
Yeah, you
I'd
kinda
never
are.
guess that.
Did anything happen around that time?
Nothing. It just.
Anything traumatic?
No, I was honestly I was just fed up with all the things I had to do, and I was like, you know what?
There, that happened. You got fed up.
Yeah, but it was not in that regard. I just, I was like,
I think that's normal. I think everybody probably comes to the realization of everything's a bit meaningless. If they're self-aware enough.
Yeah.
Like most people push that stuff to the back and try not to think about it and distract themselves, and they never realize it. They know there's something wrong, but they're like, I don't want to.
Yeah, and then depression or something manifests.
Because everything is meaningless, but we give it meaning.
Yes.
see,
But I'm just-
I
I'm just-
took away from my.
I'm just
Okay,
trying
that's-
to probe on Alex here, because something definitely caused something.
I was just kind of, I was like, we're just doing this every day, Why am I doing this? And then one day I just woke up and was like, you know what? I just don't care.
Yeah, I
And it
resonate.
just took to the point of I don't care about anything. And it went really deep.
I say I don't care a lot, but that's my way of blocking out stuff.
See,
So I'm wondering what the fuck you were blocking out, Alex.
I wasn't doing anything particularly hard in school. I wasn't having any interpersonal relationship problems. I was just I was just fed up with things. I was just like, and then I was just like, you know what? I don't care. And then it just went to this illogical conclusion of, I care about nothing. And it was just this place where I was like, huh?
I don't think that's illogical. I think that's completely logical. I think that's inherent to life. I think life is inherently. Sorry, everyone. Life is inherently meaningless.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah,
to some
pretty much.
extent. But then you can go so far and realize that, and then you come out the other side, and I don't know. It seems to, because you like see that clearly, nothing really matters anymore. So therefore, you just kind of go with that, and you're like, well, okay, well, I can either kill myself or I can continue to live and just keep going,
Not
for the
attach.
crack. And then that sort of brings in some sort of weird light.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
Nietzsche.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Nietzsche
Totally agree with
talks
that.
about this a lot. He says, everyone says Nietzsche was a nihilist, but Nietzsche says nihilism is a phase, and it's a phase that you realize that life is no meaning, life is no meaning, life is no meaning, and you go deep into that. And then you eventually, as you said, you either kill yourself. And Alan Watts says, well, a lot of the time, sorry about talking about suicide because I know this is a sore topic for a lot of people. I'm just going to quote what somebody else pontificated. He basically said that sometimes someone who's very, very depressed needs to be given permission to do whatever they want, including kill themselves. And once they have the permission, then they realize there's actually an option that they can actually take, and they don't have to feel guilty about thinking about it. Then they could possibly weigh up: do I want to actually do this, or will I just maybe give it 6 months again, see what changes, And often, according to Alan Watts anyway, oftentimes that's the little thing they need. It's like, look, if you want, like, you can do it, go for it. if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of go, oh well, all right. Oh, geez, I wasn't expecting someone to say that to me. Maybe I'll give it a little bit of time. And so from Nietzsche's point of view, he said that we then realize that we're so unbelievably free, terrifyingly free to do whatever we want.
That's why it's meaningless.
The meaninglessness.
That's why it's meaningless.
And so free that then from that place of freedom we can actually create whatever we want.
Exactly.
Within obviously the boundaries of society, but it's basically saying you are so free. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Just live your life, you know, and that's something that comes from the other side of nihilism. So,
But I think he's wrong about the freedom bit.
Yeah.
Because like, how terrifying is that? You know, how does that help you?
This,
if
yeah.
if you're completely free, that's terrifying. So how does it help necessarily?
Yeah, true.
What I was going to
That's
say.
a good point. That's a
What
good
I
point.
was going to say on that is, I think it's the fact that we have that freedom is the reason that we attach ourselves to some sort of meaning in everything, because to have ultimate freedom is scary. What do you do? Like, what? I'm free? Okay then. And then you're like, I've nothing to do.
But then
I'm scared. What do I do? And then you go, oh, I'm going to get a job. I'm going to do this and do the other. And it's all pointless. But I think that's probably why we
but it's
attach
all,
ourselves.
It's all pointless. But then people do things out of fear. So you go to a job you hate.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do that anymore.
It doesn't make sense.
You're
but I
in a
think that's why
relationship you don't like. Don't do it anymore.
Exactly.
You're like,
Yeah, see,
stop.
that's what I took it. Like we go swimming on Saturdays,
Yeah.
right? I said, I could lie in bed, or I could just do something I want to do.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly.
That's what I took
Exactly.
it to do.
And I think that's for me is the freedom is that if you choose to not do the things that you don't like anymore or that you don't want to do anymore, there'll be consequences to it, obviously. But if you're willing to do those, like take on those consequences, well then brilliant. And if you're not, if you're kind of going, oh well then if I quit this job then I won't have any money, well then that's the life you're living already anyway, because you're choosing to have one option over the other.
Yeah.
So nothing changes except you've one perspective is everything is shit and it's meaningless, and the other perspective is it's total freedom and it's meaningless.
The only
So
thing that
it's-
changes is perspective.
Yeah, it's
That's it. That's the freedom. We have the choice and perspective, you know.
Yeah.
But then some people might say, "Oh, well, I don't have a choice in my perspective."
Yeah, and that's partially true as well.
Yeah.
It's a big mystery, like. And
I think it's gas. I think it's funny. I love to laugh at life all the time.
yeah, you have
That's
to.
fine. This is the thing. It's like you said, it's like even at work, sometimes people will be moaning about it, like, "Oh, I have to work. I'm working today," and I'm just like, "Okay, why are you here?"
Yeah.
And if you're gonna choose, like, you know, if you're going to be here, if you need the money, if you
Yeah.
want the money, even make it good. Like,
Yeah.
put on a song, dance. Like, that's what
Yeah.
I do. Just dance.
Or do a really good job.
Yeah,
that people
yeah,
love you for,
yeah.
and you're
Get
like, I
excited
did a great
about
job
it.
today.
Get excited about the job. Yeah.
And if you're not liking it,
Quit.
Marcus said to me,
Quit.
Yeah, Marcus said to me before, he's like, Sharon, if you don't like going into work, just remember when you're going in that you're choosing to be there, and you were free, you could leave at any point.
Yeah.
And that really helped me. I was like, sure. So every day when after that, then I was walking into work going, I don't need to be here, but I am.
I had a conversation with a man. I work in St. John of God's once a week, just doing a yoga class in there. And obviously, I'm not going to. I'm volunteer. Yeah, I'm not going to say any names, obviously, because confidentiality and that. But I was having the same conversation with this man, and he was like, "Yeah, but what about your kids and your house and everything else?" And I was like, "Okay." I said, "I'm a single man. I've got no kids." And I said, "But what are you teaching your children? You're teaching your children to do something you hate your whole life because of children. And then they're going to grow up doing something they hate their whole life for their children. And then their children are going to wake up. Like, I understand you have to do things for your family. And obviously, that's very important. But if you're loving them and taking care of them, you should be teaching them to love and take care of yourself. And if you're not loving and taking care of yourself, well, then you're not teaching them something like this." And fair play to the guy. He kind of just went, and then we talked about some other things, but he was pretty open to it, which I don't know. Maybe I'm talking shit. Maybe he'll quit his job and lose his house and his family.
No, but it does make it difficult when you have the children and the house and the family. But I think before you go have children, house and a family, try find your purpose and try I suppose, live with that freedom beforehand. I don't know. It is a difficult one, but it's a lovely thought. And on that note, we probably have to go, guys.
Yeah. Let's go.
This has been Terrifying Enlightenment.
It has.
Peace out.
Peace out.
You're free.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
You're free unless you really badly need to go to the bathroom. Then you should go to the bathroom.
Or have kids in the house.
All right. I'm going to play the rest of this amazing, amazing song that you all love so much. Goodbye, guys. See you next week.